Hey guys, Mr. Mimikyu here, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing Alolan Marowak in the Great League Remix. Alolan Marowak is a fire ghost type Pokemon from the Alola region that evolves from Cubone at level 28 at night in the Alola region. Alolan Marowak's signature move is Shadow Bone, which has a 30% chance to lower the opponent's defense by one stage, and I decided to pair it up with Zweilous and Whiscash to see how well it goes. And I went on a 9-win streak with this team, and also got 22 wins out of 30. And without further ado, let's get to PB Poke. Now taking a look at the rankings, it is an alright team, though I will replace Whiscash for Vigoroth because, for better coverage, but the thing is my Vigoroth hasn't been powered up yet as I didn't have enough starters to power up all 3 of them, so I decided to power up 2 of them and had to give Zweilous a second charge move, which cost me 75,000 Stardust. And I know it sounds silly, but, it's Zweilous and it's worth building up for PvP. Hopping into the first match, we got Alolan Marowak into Melmetal. Now, this is a pretty good lead. We just have to watch out for Rock Slide, though. I know for a fact that Alolan Marowak can tank a Rock Slide thanks to its bulk, and they switched out into Hypno. I was going to throw the Shadow Bone, but I decided to save swap into Zweilous just to be safe. It is what it is, and they throw us with an Ice Punch, and then I decide to bait them with the Body Slam as opposed to hitting the much harder Dark Pulse, and they decide to shield that. A lot of lag going on, and of course they get to their move. I decide to shield in case it was another Ice Punch, but it turns out to be the Fire Punch. Quite honestly, when you're running Hypno, you're better off running Fire Punch and Thunder Punch, or any Elemental Punch with Shadow Ball, because that is a common moveset that you see on Hypno in PvP. So my opponent brings in Unova and Stunfisk because Galarian is banned, and I try to get to the Body Slam, but they didn't want to farm down and they decided to throw the Mud Bomb. So I decided to bring in Whiscash as opposed to Marowak because it is not weak to Mud Bomb, whereas Alolan Marowak is. So basically I decided to farm my opponent down and decided to take the win as soon as we beat Melmetal. So we decided to throw the back-to-back Mud Bomb. There's no reason to go for the disrespect to Blizzard. We get the shield, we throw the second, and because we were in a good mood, we decided to give them the disrespect with the Shadow Bone, even though we could have farmed down, but it is what it is, so good game. Boom! For the second match, we were leading against a Shadow Gramble. They decided to swap out into Vigoroth, and to be honest, I don't have a good response though. I kind of wish I had Fire Blast, but if I was running Fire Blast, I would much rather run Hex for better energy gain. So I decided to swap in case it was a Bulldoze, but it ends up becoming a Body Slam, which is kind of unfortunate, but that's okay. We can try and fight this way out if we can, Whiscash's natural bulk, and they got scared because they didn't want to farm down. I decided to throw the back-to-back Mud Bomb. They get a counter through, which kind of sucks for me. And they decided to swap into Alolan Marowak, and I decided to throw the Mud Bomb. And it does alright though, but we get taken down for the fast move, and then we decide to bring in Zweilous, and they're building up a lot of energy. I decided to shield just to be cocky, just in case it was the Fire Blast, and it ends up becoming a Fire Blast, which was very nice. So all they have left is Gramble. I decided to bring in Alolan Marowak. I go for the Bone Club for a bait, because I don't want to go for a Shadow Bone. I could have just to get the defense drop, but I didn't want to take any precautions. They reach the Crunch, which will kill us, of course. And basically, we just have to trust in Zweilous to basically go for the double Body Slam for the KO. We get the shield, and this second one will basically KO. Boom! Nailed it. Moving on to the third match, we got a Whale Ward lead. Obviously, this is a pretty bad lead for Alolan Marowak. We decided to build up energy and swap into Zweilous. I was going to swap into Whiscash, but you know what? Let's see how well Zweilous does for itself and see if it has any play. We get the first shield, which is kind of surprising. Well, when you take into consideration Dewgong's bulk, and honestly, I really wish I had one, but I don't. And to be honest, if I did, it would cost me 2 elite TMs. One to get Ice Shard, the other to get Icy Wind. And it's a pain in the foot to do. My goodness. Why is this thing so tanky? And of course, they bring back in Whale Ward. I decided to shield last minute just to be safe. And I decided to throw in the Shadow Bone to hopefully get the defense drop. And if we do, that would be awesome. We don't, but that's fine. We decide to leave Alolan Marowak for later, and then we bring in Whiscash to just basically hit them with a Mud Bomb for the KO. So my opponent brings back in the Dewgong, and they reach the Icy Wind, which is perfectly fine because we can just stack back to back if we wanted to, you know, just to be safe. I didn't want to go for the Blizzard because, you know, with a debuff and Dewgong's double resistance to ice, it's not worth it. They have an Alolan Marowak in the back. This is pretty much good game. I throw in the 2 Mud Bombs. Neither was able to KO, but that's okay. At least we tried our best, and we managed to catch the Bone Club, I believe? Yeah, Bone Club onto our own, and we won. Moving on to the next match, we got Probopass lead. Now, Probopass works a similar way into Bastiodon, except it's not as bulky as Bastiodon is, and because Bastiodon's banned in the Remix Cup, Probopass is no problem. You just have to watch out for like Rock Slide as opposed to Bastiodon's Stone Edge. So basically, I shielded. I was gonna like farm him down, but because of the Rock and Steel type, I didn't want to take any clutch, so I bring in Zweilous, and they throw the Magnet Bomb, which is kind of surprising because like I was more likely expecting Rock Slide, but I guess Magnet Bomb kind of makes sense. They have a Machamp, and it is Shadow, and I know we lost that matchup, but that's fine. We bring in Whiscash, and there's a lot of lag. I managed to sneak in a couple fast moves, which is kind of surprising, and honestly, my opponent probably lagged out or something. I don't know. We throw the Mud Bomb the same time they threw their Cross Chop, and we end up getting both of their shields, which is kind of surprising, and we were able to get a Mud Bomb and take out the Machamp. My opponent has a Golbat left, and I decided to catch the... but instead I decided to stay in. I called a Poison Fang just right, and I throw the Shadow Bone to get in big damage against the Golbat. Didn't get the defense drop, and I decided to shield just to be safe in case it was a Shadow Ball, but it was another Poison Fang, which is fine, and we were able to go for the Shadow Bone for the KO, so boom! Moving on to the next match, we got a Lickitung lead. Now this is very scary, because like Lickitung beats up my other 2 Pokemon, but mainly Whiscash though because of Power Whip, and the fact that Lick is super effective against the Alolan Marowak. What would be nice is that if I had Fire Blast on this thing, this would have been no problem, but because I don't, I actually don't. So I bring in Zweilous, and my opponent basically hard countered me. So in the beginning, I was hard countered by this stupid pink balloon that is enough to drive me nuts, and there's no way I'm coming back from this. Like, no possible way at all. You know, it's pretty much game over, Cole. There's no reason to shield anything, you know, it's pretty much game over. And yeah, I could have like let this go, but you know, I wanted to play this match out until the end. They swap into Lickitung, and I decided to shield because, you know, I just given up hope with this team, or not with the team, but with this match, because, you know, there's no way we're gonna win this, and I know for a fact we weren't gonna get to the Blizzard, and we were able to get off 2 Mud Bombs, and they're gonna unleash their Power Whip and KO me, and I lose. So yeah, that kind of sucks for me though. Better luck next time. Moving on to the next match, we got a Flygon lead. Now this one I kind of misplayed, and you'll see why. I basically farmed him down with Zweilous. They get to the Dragon Claw before I have the chance to farm him down. And since we have all that energy, I was going to throw the Dark Pulse, but I stupidly clicked Dragon Breath, and they have a Politoed in the back. And yeah, this game is pretty much over. I should have thrown the Dark Pulse or the Body Slam, but I didn't. And I know, yeah, it's my fault that I didn't throw the move, but that's okay. You learn your lessons, how to learn your mistakes from the past and learn how to improve in the future. So I bring in Whiscash to catch the Weather Ball, and all they're just doing is spamming Weather Balls like crazy. It's just like at any moment you could just swap into a Lone Executor, but I'm guessing he's not going to because Blizzard, since that is super effective, and we managed to get their second shield as well. So I bring in the Mud Bombs and all that good stuff, and there's no way we're gonna come out of this. So I had to throw in a last minute Bone Club. I know I've lost all hope, and if I had thrown the Body Slam like I should have, then this would have played out a bit differently. But because I didn't, I ended up losing, so that's gonna cost me the game. They survive and I die. Moving on to the next match, we got Alolan Marowak and the Sceptile. Now, this is a very good lead. They swap into Diggersby, and I swap into Whiscash, and you know how it is, like we can tank one Earthquake because, we're that bulky and stuff. The only difference is that they have XL Candy on theirs, and I do not, and we all know how it goes. We decided to bait them with the Mud Bomb, and they correctly shield, and it ends up becoming CMP, so I decided to shield just to be safe. I know it was just a Fire Punch, but you can't expect another Earthquake, can you? Probably not. But I decided to let go this Fire Punch because I know for a fact that we can possibly survive and then just farm down and then unleash a Mud Bomb at whatever they throw in. So they bring in Druddigon, and I decided to bring in Zweilous to basically fast move pressure them down. And that's how it goes. We shield the Dragon Claw to be safe. They just have Sceptile left, and I decided to throw in the Body Slam to get their last shield and bring in the Alolan Marowak, and this game is pretty much over. Just have to throw the Shadow Bone, and there's no way they're gonna make it to the Earthquake. On to the next match, we got a Diggersby lead this time, and to be fair, I really wanted to swap into Whiscash, but I really didn't want to. I decided to shield because it's an Earthquake, but I ended up getting baited. I bring in Zweilous, and now this is an Earthquake, and I know we can survive it, but it does so much damage, like, oh my goodness. They have a Galvantula, and this kind of sucks for me because, well, even though Galvantula is a glass cannon, most of them usually shield, but it ends up becoming not a CMP tie, so they throw off alignment, so that kind of sucks for me. I bring in Whiscash, and they have Pelipper, and to be fair, this is just not fair. I decided to not shield because, I can tank one Weather Ball. I ended up over farming, and then I threw in the Blizzard, which causes them to shield, of course. And I was very, very mad. And of course, I decided to let it go because there's no way we're coming out of this. I throw the Shadow Bone, and to get in big damage, that's how it is. They bring back in the Diggersby, and because I don't have Fire Blast, I decided to call the Fire Punch again, but instead it was an Earthquake and I die, and I throw in the Mud Bomb, and there's no way I'm going to win this, so I'm going to lose, so boo. Moving on to the next match, we got Alolan Marowak into Hypno. Now, this is a purified Hypno, and judging by its CP 1493, I can literally tell that this is a hundo. I decided to shield just to be safe in case it was a Shadow Ball, and I shielded it correctly. Now the problem is that with Hypno is that their move is a 4-turn, while ours is a 3-turn, so we have to throw on the alignments, and it's very hard to do so. They did not shield the Bone Club, but they did shield the Shadow Bone. I decided to not shield against Zweilous in case they throw Shadow Ball, and it turns out I was right, and of course they have a Machamp and as a safe swap, so I think you probably know this core pretty well. Hypno and Machamp do pretty well in the Remix Cup, and we ended up losing all that energy, and I decided to shield just in case it was a Rock Slide, but instead they decided to be spicy and run Payback, which is something you don't really see on Machamp, but it does help out in the Open Ultra League against Giratina Altered, but other than that, it's just too strong, but a lot of energy to use though because of its stats. We decided to farm down with Whiscash, and their last Pokemon is Alolan Raichu, and we all know that this game is now over. We can just go for double Mud Bombs and we can secure the KO. There's no way they're going for the Grass Knot, and here we go. Boom! Take him out. Moving on to the next match, we got Shadow Golbat lead, and this one is kind of favorable for them and me. Mainly for them because they could bait us with Poison Fang though, because that's what Golbat likes doing. It's like Nidoqueen but with the added flying type. I decided to catch, and it was indeed a Poison Fang, and they try to catch the Mud Bomb onto Ferrothorn but fail. I decided to throw in the Mud Bomb and to see if I can do big damage, and I did alright. I'm like, you know what the heck, let's just go for the Blizzard to see if we can one-shot. Boom! Not quite, but we're close, and they farmed us down, which is fine because we can bring in Alolan Marowak and unleash some decent damage with our moves, and we decided to no shield the first but shield the second, since you can stack a back-to-back Power Whip but you can't stack a Thunder together. So they bring back in the Golbat. I decided to shield last second just in case it was a Shadow Ball, but instead it was the Poison Fang, and oh my gosh, I just hate when Golbat does that, it's basically like Nidoqueen, except you can't use Nidoqueen in the Remix Cup, and basically Zweilous has more play in the Remix Cup, but its biggest problem are the fighters and the charmers, mainly the charmers because of its double weakness. And of course I decided to unleash 2 body slams, and of course 1-turn moves come before charge moves, which is kind of interesting because I never knew that. Moving on to the last and final match of the day, we have a Pelipper lead. Now this is one where I screwed up big time, and I mean literally. So this isn't the part where I screw up. Basically I threw in the Dark Pulse against the Registeel, and I decided to let Zweilous go down because I figured, you know, there's nothing in the back that Zweilous can handle. I bring in Alolan Marowak to basically hard farm them, and I decided to shield just to be safe, and it was a Zap Cannon, which was very nice. Lead with a ton of energy. I bring in the Shadow Bone against the Pelipper, and they shield it. No defense drop, unfortunately, and basically we can tank at least 2 Weather Balls, though we can't tank 3, unfortunately, though, because of Whiscash's HP being so high. So I decided to throw the Blizzard, and they caught it onto Jirachi. No! I was so mad, and I died. All I have left is Marowak, and then I made another stupid mistake of going for the Shadow Bone instead of the Bone Club. And they have Pelipper, and of course I decided to do it one more time. They get to the Weather Ball, and I decided to throw in the Shadow Bone to see if they're not going to shield. And guess what? They did, and I quit, and I lose. So all in all, I had a blast using Alolan Marowak. It is pretty good in like restricted cups such as the Great League Remix, the Holiday Cup, the Retro Cup, and even the Kanto Cup, as well as the Halloween Cup. Alolan Marowak tends to do pretty well in those like restricted cups where it doesn't have to deal with like the regular meta such as Azumarill, Umbreon, Bastiodon, you name it. Like those Pokemon are pretty strong, and even Scrafty would just straight up destroy it though it does have a hard time against normal types unless it has Fire Blast. But if you're running Fire Blast on Alolan Marowak, I would recommend you running Hex over Fire Spin so that you would gain energy quicker. But other than that, it is a good Pokemon to build, nonetheless.